priming the pump there for just the continued freak out that they're having over Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Joe Rogan. When Whoopi Goldberg is the voice of reason on The View, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Can't get away with that anymore.
The media?
The media cannot get, or anybody, pretty much anybody. You can't get away with too much shit
So you got
without
fact-checking.
fact-checking you. Well, I'm not going to if they want to leave X, let them leave.
Feel free, yeah.
But there is a group of people. Look, there's still a group of people that will debate you and believe the world is flat. And all of this goes back to COVID, really, because they got mad at him about COVID. And because they didn't want anybody questioning this. Nobody was supposed to question this. And it should never be that way, where quite a number of President Trump's nominees for his cabinet and other positions have had some serious threats to their life. What's not funny is, and if this was reversed right now, the outrage, because the only outrage is really probably on Fox right now, but if this was reversed, the outrage by the left would be deafening. Doesn't end well unless it ends.
They never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I'm making a piece. Yeah,
the fucking
Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and
just a motherfucking jump. Just go. And here we go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I am your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy. The other fucking guy, Chase.
Hello, man. How you doing today?
Good. Getting number 2 in for the week.
Oh, yeah.
And then tomorrow, we get
stuff
some
up
turkey.
on for food. Hell yeah.
Now, do you, you're celebrating with, you be with family tomorrow?
Yeah. Be about my,
Now, like how much Mexican food gets mixed in with your turkey?
it's a little bit different now. Now that we're a little older, we don't have as much family around. So it's just like whatever you feel like eating, we'll bring to the, like.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So like, I mean, back when there was.
I mean, I guess I'm asking, are you going to have our tamales on the the menu?
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah.
My mom really likes to make tamales, so she usually makes like just like ones with meat, and then she'll make
oh yeah,
like sweet tamales. And
okay,
over the years she's focused more on the sweet tamales because they're a little bit easier to go through because it's like it's more of like a pastry than it is like actual food.
okay.
So those are really good. Probably some sort of like pozole or menudo is usually very like common. But my mom actually really likes turkey, so she'll probably make a turkey or some ham or something like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's always different every year. It's just depending on what she decides she wants to eat that year.
Well, I am excited to take Dawn on her first Thanksgiving with the Indians.
Okay.
So we are going to Weekapo, the casino,
Okay.
on the Indian reservation, to their buffet. They have a really, really good buffet.
Okay.
You know, we don't have to,
Cook
for
clean
2
or anything
people,
like
4
that.
people. We don't have to do any of that. We get a great, like I said, I've been there a couple times already. This will be my 3rd time celebrating Thanksgiving there since I moved to Arizona. And I like being able to say I'm having a traditional Thanksgiving with the Indians. And it tastes good, and we get to eat and leave. And the other nice thing is if there is a little bit of a wait,
Go gamble for
play a little 3-card poker.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not opposed to taking, winning dinner money.
Never a bad idea.
And then, of course, take in some football. I think we're going to probably sometime tomorrow, maybe late afternoon or in the evening. We're going to try to take in the new Rock movie. See the red one where the Rock is.
Oh, it's actually a really good movie.
Have you seen it?
I went to see
You
it with
did
my
go see
sister last week, and it's actually it's not like, oh my god, this is the best movie ever, but it's funny. It's hilarious. I
that's
really
it.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
So yeah, we're looking at doing that tomorrow too, because I really don't know what else is actually out
Movie wise,
movie wise.
couldn't tell you, to be honest with
But
you.
I mean, but this used to be the time of the year when you know,
All the
Thanksgiving
great
when
movies are coming out.
yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean movies, especially after like the whole like COVID situation, and then them going on strike, and then
Mhm.
movies in the past like 5 years haven't been the best. The horror side of the movies, I don't know how big you are in movies, but horror movies
Yeah.
recently in the past like few years have probably been like the best that they have been in like over 20 years easily.
Huh.
Very, in
Okay,
my
yeah, I
opinion.
had no
In my
idea, yeah.
opinion.
I mean, I'm not opposed to seeing a horror movie, but that's not
Yeah, other than
necessarily
that,
my
like comedies have become too like cliche. They're not like super like funny. Like the red ones, like they have a really good balance of like the like good
Mhm.
comedy and just like cringy comedy. Like it's a good mix. I enjoyed it.
Good.
It was a really good movie.
That's all I'm looking for is like
It's a good laugh.
some
Something you just relax to and
something,
watch.
yeah,
And it's
that
still
this
it
is
is Christmas.
I don't wanna use my brain. I
Oh
don't wanna
yeah.
use my
Yeah,
brain.
you don't have to. It's a great movie. You just kind of follow the action
I
and kind of enjoy it.
my brain has been on overdrive with everything that's going on. It's been crazy, crazy. And speaking of crazy, it's continuing to be well, let me tell you what's not funny.
What's up?
What's not funny is and if this was reversed right now, the outrage because the only outrage is really probably on Fox right now. But if this was reversed, the outrage by the left would be deafening, where quite a number of President Trump's nominees
Hmm.
for his cabinet and other positions have had some serious threats to their life, like pipe bomb type shit
Wow.
that have been investigated or alluded to, and not just a handful of people. Like it's been quite a number of them. And so and then they do that other thing where called swatting. Are you familiar with swatting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
you know,
It's
swatting incidents as well. You know, and that just is if it was reversed, the outrage would be deafening. But of course, it's just Republicans, so who cares? But it's so many things are happening, even in a really positive way. You know, I don't know how much of the Israeli ceasefire that, you know, how much of that um, is can be attributed, you know what I mean, to to our election.
yeah. I mean, there's
But
been a lot of different things that have
but
affected.
I I'm guessing that something. Now, I guess these talks have been going on for a little bit of time, but basically, you know, Hezbollah, who supported Hamas, is like, we're out. So it's hopefully the whole thing gets put down and that this is expanded and there is a deal with Hamas as well.
It says only 2 months.
No, that's not really that I heard the person interviewed that negotiated it,
Uh,
and it's not a 60-day ceasefire. It's there are 60 days that where there's a process of it
oh, okay.
taking
So they
hold.
have 2 months to get out of the places they shouldn't be.
Right,
Gotcha.
right. So like as the Israeli army is pulled back, then they are going to move in a way that, you know, things aren't chaos,
Yeah.
as I understood it. So, but I'm just saying, like, maybe, you know, some of this can be, hopefully, you know, we can kill as much of this stuff as possible before, so we can focus on us, focus on our country. Now, we still have the things we talked about on the previous podcast on Russia and the expansion of the war there with our involvement. And hopefully something can be done sooner rather than later there. And hopefully people understand what's going on there to the point where we as the American people can put pressure, because we do actually, when we speak with one voice strong enough,
Yeah.
these guys care about their seats more than anything else
Yeah.
in their positions of power in the House or the Senate, that they will be smart enough to listen up,
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. And hopefully that kind of thing happens too. But so I'm kind of priming the pump there for just the continued freak out that they're having over Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Joe Rogan. I mean, I don't know if Joe really, it'd be interesting to talk to him, or just to hear him talk about it. But I'd love to be the one to ask him
Yeah.
how much he expected this to happen.
Like the backlash.
Yeah,
I
how
think-
much of the backlash?
I think he had a good idea of it, especially after like interviewing Trump, and then the whole like, well, he didn't interview Kamala and blah blah blah, and he gave her a chance and this and that. I think after that happened, I think he knew, he had a good understanding that he was going to get attacked for sure, especially because like
Yeah, but to what extent, and how long it would last, and the dumb shit that people say about him. Like,
yeah, they're gonna try to find any small.
did
little
you
thing.
have the clip of? Yeah, let's play this clip because it has the view part in there too as well. But this chick, this Sunny Hostin, is one of the dumbest women I've ever seen speak, ever.
The zero research?
She is dumb as a box of rocks. I mean, Joy Behar is dumb, but this Sunny really kind of takes the cake. And the thing is, she's not the only one
No, there's
that
everyone on that table.
expressing these views, so to speak. And one of my friends made a comment on X. Steve Priestep, Steve's an attorney. He had a really, really good comment. When Whoopi Goldberg is the voice of reason on The View, you're in trouble.
Yeah. There's some issues going on there.
And that's a true story. So let's play this and talk about this for a second.
From Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons. He believes in
The
dragons.
purple dragon, maybe.
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like I guess like dinosaur type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
Rogan really leaning into this one by changing his ex-bio to quote dragon believer. Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor, and he joins us now. Joe, this is so up Joe Rogan's alley in terms of what he finds funny. To first of all be called a dragon believer, and also to be accused of being an unreliable source of information by the ladies of The View. So what is your reaction to all of this?
Oh, yes, Carly. We should absolutely trust The View and not the guy who revolutionized the world with electric cars, SpaceX. I could go on with the accomplishments of Elon Musk. I have a question. Do stupid people get to a point in life where they realize that they're stupid? Because this is what panic sounds like in legacy media. I've said this before in this program. It's worth repeating again because it's so disturbing. The View is under the ABC News umbrella. ABC News is run by a woman named Dana Walden. Dana Walden is Kamala Harris's very best friend. They lived right near each other in Brentwood, California when she was a senator there. Dana Walden set up Kamala Harris on a blind date with Doug Emhoff, who she obviously is now married to. And now this is what the result is of Dana Walden running ABC News. You have people like Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg under the ABC News umbrella losing their minds on a daily basis. And it's actually kind of fun to watch. But at some point, people are going to be like, all right, I don't want to listen to this anymore because, quite frankly, I can't trust you people because you told us that Donald Trump was Hitler, and now apparently Hitler is going to be the 47th president of the United States. Go figure.
Well, at some point, I would argue that point is already here. I mean, look at the ratings from the election and beyond. I mean, people are not watching this stuff, and I broaden that out to all the mainstream media collectively.
Yeah, MSNBC.
Let's take a different tact on this, though, Joe. Shouldn't conservatives be celebrating this cacophony because it shows that there are factions on the left that still refuse to acknowledge ultimately why Trump won and the reasons for it. And so, I don't know, looking ahead to 2026, that bodes well for the Republicans if they still haven't figured out why the Republicans won.
It's a great point, Todd. I mean, I said this on this program. I'll say it again. Before the election, you guys know this, I said that I couldn't see how Kamala Harris could beat Donald Trump when Donald Trump was winning over black voters to the amount that he was, Latino voters to the amount that he did. Obviously, we also had the union voters, rank and file. He was winning those over as well. We saw the Teamsters in terms of their internal polling that he was winning there big time. And when you win those three Democratic strongholds, the Democrat nominee, in this case Kamala Harris, didn't have any chance. So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, they should understand.
But you know, she didn't even try for those people.
A reason.
Once again, back asking, and I'm going to keep asking every show, what can you do for us? The most important thing you can do for us is to share and subscribe. And sharing is number one. Share the show with someone else. Please get just one other person to subscribe. We have a number that we'd like to hit here very, very soon. And we believe that can really help us grow the show. And it kind of just feeds on itself. But we can't do that without you. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be right here doing it because I love doing this. I mean, I absolutely fucking love it. And hopefully you get that from me about how important this is to me and how I feel about it and how I feel about y'all. So thank you very much. God bless. I'm the fucking guy. You know what I mean? She took those groups for granted. The Democratic Party has really taken the working class. The Democratic Party at one time were represented by Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean, that just was the case. It was, you know, the only one to really win blue collar workers over in an incredible way like nobody else has ever done was Ronald Reagan. He was the only one to ever really do that. You know, the Republican Party was the party of the rich. Yeah. And I know we have Elon Musk, but on the Democratic side, you had, where were the major celebrities? Yeah. They were on stage with Kamala Harris. Where were the singers? Right?
Yeah.
Multiple singers. Right?
Way too many, honestly.
Were with Kamala Harris. And billionaires. She had, we pointed out on this program, how she had almost, not quite double, but almost double the number of billionaires publicly support her than what Donald Trump had. He had like 51 and she had 81, I believe it was, something like that. That you can't hide from that. You can't hide from that. And people, it's taken longer than I really thought it should take. Yeah, it was 83.
83 to 52, yeah.
Yeah. So I was close. But it's taken longer than I thought it would for technology, because there was a time when information was so much slower.
Yeah.
But that really hasn't been the case for a minute now.
For quite
really,
like 10 plus years.
But it's finally, I think, to the mass enough that they can't get away with that anymore.
The media?
The media cannot get, or anybody. pretty much anybody. You can't get away with too much shit
'Cause you got people
without
fact-checking you and
fact
stuff.
checking you. And that's one of the beautiful things about X.
Yeah.
And they're mad now. They're lying about X. This was talked about on CNN
Yeah.
this week, where the statement was made that X is like the most equal platform out there right now. And the Democrats on the panel like flipped out, like, who's your source? And you know who the source was? CNN. That network that they were on was the source. And there's a clip of that where they're going through where at one time about 65% of the people on X identified as liberals, as Democrats, and 35% identified as Republicans, something like that. But I know it was 65 something. And now it's like 47-48 each
So
side.
it's
So it's
very, like, down the middle.
almost, it's just much more equal. Because I don't know, are you familiar? Are you on Blue Sky?
I'm not quite sure what that is.
Okay. Blue Sky is the new X for liberals. So they're leaving and going there. So where they can be in an echo chamber, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they could, they're throwing in the towel because they're mad at Elon Musk.
So they just copied and pasted Twitter. Is that what they did? They just copied and
Basically,
pasted?
I don't know.
That's funny.
I think it's crazy, but I don't know. I mean, it's new.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a thing, to be honest with you.
Well, see, anytime I can share something with you that you don't know, it's a good thing.
Because I
then
probably will never use Blue Sky, but I mean,
well, I'm not going to if they want to leave X, let them leave.
Feel free, yeah.
But I love X. I just hate that I
have to deal with dumb people on it all the time.
well, that I don't have more of a following there.
Gotcha.
That like, what do I need to do? How do I break through on there?
I mean, if you really want to get into the marketing, just a lot more ads, a lot more content.
Dude,
it's just consistent
I'm
now.
posting.
Yeah, but nowadays it's just like I've been reading a lot of like articles and stuff like that, especially on places like X. Especially because people don't usually go to X for content; they're usually going there for like news or like just dumb stuff. They don't usually go on there for like.
No, but other people got followers.
Yeah, but like especially with like X, like that's like one of those social medias where like you're navigating all your followers from a different social media platform and moving them over to X. Because not everyone uses, or at least there was a time period where Elon Musk bought out X.
Right.
Like before that, there was like, because I remember back in high school, like X was like, or Twitter was like the number one thing, right? Everyone was on Twitter. There was a huge like volume of people on there, and then like it kind of just died off a little bit. And then once Elon Musk bought it back, there's been like an uprising of people. But to my knowledge, and
well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Oh yeah,
as far as just keep. Because I don't know any different.
Yeah.
It's no different than this. That doing this, I'm talking about in that I don't know any different.
Okay,
other than
your
to
information.
Keep,
Gotcha.
than to keep just going.
Gotcha. Yeah.
To keep putting it out there, to keep putting things out there that I think are interesting, giving interesting takes on things, and that's kind of my new thing too. And I'm calling them takes, like, and calling other people out on dumb takes or bad. Like, that's not a good take. Like, And I think so. I'm trying to engage in other areas and not just my own posting too.
Yeah.
I thought that was supposed to be, a thing. But I think when I first made a commitment to be on X, I was maybe at around 90.
followers. Yeah.
And it's been easy over 6 months, and I'm at 130. So I was doing that on X before we were doing this on YouTube, and we're doing more on YouTube. So we'll see. What I like about it though mostly is that I can be myself, that I can talk and say what I want to say, and I like colorful language. I always have. It just is part of who I am. I'm not using it to, how do I want to say? I'm not using it
To excuse like the way you want
no.
to say or anything like that. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, it's just
The ability to be yourself on the internet without having to worry about people
and
like
every single word, like some places it's hard to post things now. Or, like I was thinking, man, this is just a phrase that we use, but I can't really use that phrase because if I use that phrase, because the word kill is in it, it could be taken as a threat when there was none of the message was. It would be more like, "Hey, you're killing it," if you would say that, but man, you're killing it, bro. Like,
you got to be careful.
you
With
got
who
to
you're
be
saying
careful
it on
even
what
that,
platform. Yeah,
because of how sensitive some of these platforms are now, and it's ridiculous.
I think it's gonna get better for sure. I mean, especially like with Elon, with what he does with Twitter. I mean, obviously, I think for a little bit it's gonna be a little bit wonky where you having other like platforms pop up and you having a lot of people move over. But I think it will in a few years from now. I think social media will kind of have like a neutral kind of, not too extreme on either end.
Well, hopefully. Did you see any of the actual podcast or clips from the podcast where he talked to the guy about
Joe Rogan?
where Joe Rogan talked to the guy about there was a guy that brought up the not the dinosaurs, the
pterodactyls.
well, but
The guy that he was having that conversation with.
yes,
Yeah, I've seen some clips off of it.
yeah. Well, what did she just call him? He believes in
A dinosaur believer or
no, it wasn't dinosaur believer, dragon believer. He's a dragon
sorry,
believer. Yeah, the dragon episode. The guy that brought it up even said he's not really knowledgeable on it, on why there's this group of people but there is a group of people. Look, there's still a group of people that will debate you and believe the world is flat.
Yeah.
Okay? So the idea that there are people out there that believe that there might have been some animal, and it kind of made a little bit of sense.
No, I mean, if you actually like listen to the actual episode, he does say that he doesn't believe that they're real. He just likes the idea of them being around with humans at the same time.
Well, and again, the whole conversation was around other people that did believe in it.
Yeah, because I believe they were because they were saying that.
But
it
he
is
wasn't saying he
possible.
was a dragon believer. He's just
No.
saying
He liked
that
the
these
idea of it.
other people talking about what these other people think, and he was asking the guy questions,
Yeah.
and the guy actually couldn't answer questions very well because he
'Cause
only knew
'cause
very
we
little
don't
about
know
it.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't a dragon believer either.
Yeah.
They were just talking about those. And it was mostly about, like, why don't we have evidence of them
Mhm.
other than, like, pictures or stories, from that time period? And it's because being a bird and the bones of a bird and that they don't fossilize.
Because they're not dense. They're hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why, which, again, it made sense.
Yeah.
Why that would be like that.
Yeah.
But it was just a funny, stupid conversation.
Yeah. They weren't saying any of this was facts. This is just what we know and like what.
No, but you heard Joy say she double and triple fact checked it.
Yeah. No. On the if you actually watch the video, he said
She couldn't have fact checked
Yeah,
it.
she didn't at all, because in the video he says clearly Like obviously, like they're not real, but the idea of them being real and the idea of them being around with humans is pretty gnarly. But other than that, he'd never said
No,
like, "Oh, this is a
nothing.
thing. This has happened." Like he was just
And all of this goes back to COVID, really, because they got mad at him about COVID,
yeah. They get mad at Joe Rogan for everything.
but especially
The
COVID
COVID situation, yeah,
and
because
things.
the whole mask
Well,
thing and stuff like that.
he was one of the first people to really
Go against it.
that had a following
Yeah.
and a big enough audience to reach people because they didn't want anybody questioning this. Nobody was supposed to question this. And it should never be that way. You know, if someone is actually a scientist, to me, the whole idea behind science and being a scientist is to question everything.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Uh,
point
that's
of
what you're
science.
thi-
Yeah,
that-
that's how science works. You ask a
And-
question, you
and it-
figure it out.
And look, the science or the smart people
Mhm.
at one time, as we just mentioned, thought the world was flat.
Yeah.
So, you know, or what is it? They used to think that you could cure disease by cutting someone open and letting them bleed out a little bit and stuff, right?
Yeah, there's
Like
there's
like
been a
so
lot
spend
of
some
bad
fucked up
stuff, yeah.
shit. But that was the science at the time. But what, we think we're so smart now that the science today should never be questioned at all, ever? We should never question the science? And that's just not the case. Look, I mean, the most obvious answer was there was a lab in Wuhan studying the coronavirus. Yet the first thing they wanted to dismiss, and why did they want to protect China? I don't know. But they wanted to dismiss that because it was much more far-fetched to believe that this spread from some type of open market and bats and shit in China than they were actually studying this virus. They were doing enhancements to this virus to make it more dangerous. And then there was a leak. Somebody gets sick on the inside and brings it to the outside. That's basically the case.
Yeah, the whole because I remember when COVID first came out, like there were so many different like, oh, this happened, oh no, this happened, oh no, this happened, and people were just going back and forth. Like they had no clue. Like,
But then they shut down like any mention of the like you're not allowed to say it's
very quickly.
like
too, on
yeah,
social
this
media.
is just it. And things change very quickly. Oh, masks don't. I mean, we went from masks don't work to masks do work,
Yeah,
and now we all know that they really don't do much
anything. Yeah,
at all. So I think that was a big part of it too, where coming after him, you know, for misinformation. But
Yeah.
this also proves, you know, when we talk about misinformation,
Mhm.
she is spreading misinformation
Yeah.
about what Joe Rogan believes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the reason that shit doesn't work anymore is anybody can do what you and I just did.
Yeah.
We can literally pull up the video and watch it ourselves and draw our own opinion
Yeah.
and just listen to it. And that just, even though, like I said, you know, technology, it's been here, it's been around. We've just, I think, reached a saturation point now where there is enough, and even enough older people that access this shit now.
Yeah.
Or
Try to at least.
haphazardly try to, yes, that they can't get away with it anymore.
Oh no. No,
But
no, no.
but people, they got away with it for a long, long time.
I think even bits of it
Of
still.
you know, you were a congressman and you said something publicly, and then later said, "Oh, I never said that." And that because there's almost nothing that's not recorded anymore.
Nowadays, yeah. No.
Somebody's recording it.
Yep.
And I think that gets to the point that Elon Musk makes, you're the media now.
Yeah.
You're the media now, because it isn't the media that's reporting on this that you would expect them to. Now, look, let me show you. Bob clearly said, and show enough of a clip where you're not hiding anything, that Bob clearly said that X was Y. And now he's saying that he never said it. You can clearly see it right here. The media's not calling these people out anymore.
No.
If they actually called people out on both sides, they would have a chance of getting their credibility back. But they chose not to do that.
They're not going to, no.
And I think it's almost too late for them
without a
in
doubt.
most cases.
I think with
for that.
most like big like news things or whatever are gonna have to like rebrand in a way. They're gonna have to like get because like the damage has been done, right? Like
Right.
people understand that the main news outlets have been biased and they've been like controlling it, right? So like it's, in my opinion, or at least as just a regular person watching these, like it'd be very hard for me to, if they were to just come up tomorrow and put up their news and be like, all right, well from now on we're gonna be this and this and this, like it'd be really hard to believe something like that. So in my opinion, I think the really big, like, because all the podcasts and stuff like that are gonna take over, right? So all the big news outlets are either gonna have to get with like the whole podcast scene, or they're gonna have to rebrand themselves completely.
I like your take on the rebranding.
Yeah.
Or that there will be podcast involvement, because that's just
Some sort of social
that's
media
just,
kind of
that
like,
just
yeah.
is, and it's a great way to make content.
Yeah.
And that's what
And
it's all about.
and that's just how
in streaming is content.
That's
is
how
who
news
owns
gets
the
to
content.
people nowadays. It's
And so I think, like, you have PBD,
Yeah.
Patrick Bet David, and I could see where, there was the joke of, and Alon made the joke because NBC is going to sell off MSNBC.
yeah, and Elon's looking to buy it.
I think that was a joke.
It's a joke, yeah.
It was a joke.
But I feel like it's one of those
But
jokes that isn't necessarily like a
It's
full
not
joke.
far fetched
That's what I was
that
thinking.
he could do that. But I don't think it would be him. But I could see somebody like a PBD
Yeah.
doing that
So
and rebranding it.
I don't-
It wouldn't be MSNBC
Yeah.
anymore. It would
be
be
PBD
PBD.
News or
They'd have their
whatever it is.
PBD News.
I
Something like that. That's what.
I just
so,
think that'd
like,
be dangerous in my opinion.
But whatever I think more on the traditional side of media
Mhm.
that we have, it's gonna be a new ABC, a new CBS,
Yeah.
and they're not gonna be called ABC or CBS.
I just
It's kind of what I'm.
Yeah, no, I totally get
I'm
what you're
thinking.
saying. I just, I went into this by myself. Like, I went down a rabbit hole, or whatever. But I honestly, because like realistically, we get rid of all the news outlets, right? And then so big podcasters then become the big news outlets, right? So then you're running, but then you're not having to deal with 30, 50, 100 employees or people. You're now just having to deal with whoever runs the
Yeah, but I
podcast,
think
right?
they would recruit. They'd have a staff, or just like you have PBD. You have his different people on there now,
Yeah.
and I think they would recruit others.
You think so? But
Yeah, they would recruit others that would do their own shows.
But wouldn't that
Because just like you have Fox, the 5
and then you have,
at
like,
the 5,
sports,
and
then-
you have at the 5, you have those people that are like Gutfeld and people that are on there. Well, they have their own show too.
on the side?
So they have on Fox, they have their where they come together as a group,
Yeah.
but they individually have their
like,
own
yeah,
thing
yeah.
as well. And you could do that.
Yeah.
And then there is a new, I don't know, who is it? One of the guests that PBD has on a regular basis, he has the governor of New York, the previous governor of New York. And why am I like brain dead here for a second? So Chris Cuomo, who is who I was trying to think
Gotcha.
of, and his brother was, and his dad was, governor before. But he got let go from CNN, but he's on there's a different network now. So what network is Chris Cuomo on?
Pretty sure just saw a video of
News Nation. There it is. Okay. I haven't checked out News Nation.
So this is Chris Cuomo's news outlet? Like this is
It's not his. He was hired by them.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's where he's at now.
I saw
I don't know who's in charge of News Nation, but I'm just saying, you have some fledgling ones out there that, because somebody has to do the straight news, right? You can't have nobody do the news, because what PBD and what these other ones do, what a podcast do, is you're commenting on the news or current events and things. You just can't comment just on other podcasts.
No,
that's not enough. I mean,
no, for sure not.
somebody has to do the straight news, and all anybody is asking is that the straight news be straight news.
See,
or be closer to that now.
See, but that again, that kind of comes back to like my idea of like when podcasters become the news outlets and stuff like that,
right?
Like the same thing that had to happen with like the big news outlets, right? A lot of corruption became a part of that because they knew they had the power to do so, right? So then if you're just, again, we're just trusting in the people that are currently going to be sourcing out all this news to stay like not so greedy, I guess the best way to put it, right? Because like realistically, instead of like, because when this was my thought process was like, because it was so easy to corrupt a news, like multiple news outlets, right? With whoever's doing it, conspiracy time, whatever, whoever's running the entire thing and saying you do this, you do that, blah 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 blah. Like once all the news outlets are all gone, like who are those people going after towards? The big podcasters. And then it's again conspiracy thing, right? Like once those big podcasts outlet or people then become under the influence of whoever's running the agenda, if it were to happen, like the same thing will just happen again, but with podcasts. Was my whole like thought process.
I guess I don't want to assume that, because I think the pendulum swings, and the pendulum has been swinging, and it's been swinging back to where people, they literally think people are stupid. Now, I make jokes about
a majority of people are. Like, let's be real. Like, a majority of people are. A good majority of people are.
Yeah, but they think it's just the one side. You know what?
Yeah,
and that's just not the case.
It's hard to say with certainty because we really don't know at the end of the day. But again, that's where it comes, right? Like we just have to trust that the people that will be put in power by us, because we're giving Joe Rogan, PBD, these people the power to be able to.
Okay, but here's
know
the
what
thing.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying now, but here's the thing, and this is what I've always done.
Yeah.
I fact check that person.
Yeah.
And when I fact check, if that person tells me something, I'm like, I wonder if that's really true.
Mm-hmm.
And I fact check them, and I fact check them over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
and they prove to be accurate. Well, then they're gonna earn my respect and credibility. They're gonna gain credibility from that.
Yeah. But once you again,
but they're not just gonna win me over and then say, now I'm gonna trick them because Troy believes me now.
Well, I don't know if that's just me and my the way I've kind of understand human psychology and stuff like that. But it is in my opinion, it is highly possible for, especially after a certain
money wise, he already has the money.
But what if you're offered something that money can't buy?
What can they offer Joe?
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea what we can or cannot. But again,
because his contract is big.
I'm sure. Again, but that has to do with money, right?
Yes.
What if you're given power or some sort of again, we don't know where. Again, very conspiracy theory of whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I'm not taking it that.
No, that's fair. No, that's I
mean, I get it.
It was just a little
But somebody's going to earn the credibility. I mean, it's no different than, I had a certain viewpoint about RFK,
Mm-hmm.
but I was open. I wasn't like locked in on him in any way, like I for or against
Mm-hmm.
in any way. And I just started listening to him and the things he was actually saying, not the things that people were saying about him.
Mm-hmm.
Listening on podcasts, like we're talking about, where somebody gets to talk for an hour or 2 hours,
Yeah.
and really share, and then getting more into the things that I want to now get into as far as health,
Yeah.
and being a voice in that arena and do whatever I can do from where I'm at to help assist that, because that's something that's important to me.
Yeah.
And now that I've done that and given him that, like, he's won me over. Do you see what I'm saying?
No,
I mean,
I get what you're
he's really he's won me over in doing that. And that's I bring up, and I think I mentioned Callie and Casey Means every episode now, but I just put up one of the clips on TikTok talking about them. I put that on TikTok, and look, they telling people, like, I'm reading the book, read the book, listen to the podcast,
Bless you.
listen to the podcast with Joe Rogan. Figure it out for yourself. Just don't take my word for it. All right. And I'm also, I guess, looking at it from the point of view of what I want to do. I'm not worth 100, 200, 400 million dollars. I'd love to, I'd
Yeah.
love to make it like that, but I'm not there. But I do want people to eventually, I want to earn that same type of respect that I'm talking about, of checking stuff out, talking to the right people, reading the right things, and passing that along, and have people check me and saying, I've followed this guy, and I checked this, and I checked this, and I checked this, and the things he's saying, and the information he's given is boom, boom, boom. It's
Yeah.
right there. And I do that now. I mean, I'm known for that now.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to testosterone.
Yeah.
It's that was it Dr. Bellman on TikTok that follows me
Yeah.
that I told you?
Yeah.
It's so funny. He's like, I don't know if I recently talked about it, maybe in a video, and he just did a video on it where, so, I'm constantly telling people to get checked.
Yeah.
To
Get blood work.
to get blood work, or to get testing done. And it comes up, it's not a big, it doesn't come up a lot, but it comes up enough.
Yeah.
Where guys who are taking testosterone and they want to know, they've either been doing TRT or TRT in cycles or whatever, and they decide, that they want to try for a kid.
Mhm.
And so they immediately want to know what do they have to take so that they could have a kid.
Gotcha.
And my thing is, how do you know you can't? Because I have had guys, while they were using big cycles, get their women pregnant. So, yeah, can it diminish somebody's ability to produce sperm and to have a kid? Absolutely, it can. But it might not. So before you spend money
Mm-hmm.
having me do consulting with you,
Yeah.
I tell them, go get the basic sperm test that's like $50 at the pharmacy, and it tells you if you're over or under a certain number.
Gotcha.
And if you're under, well, then maybe you want to go to a specialist and get deeper testing to find out what your level and number really is.
Yeah.
And there are things that can help. And the Dr. Bellman mentioned Clomid. he mentioned HCG, and HCG is really the one of the two that really, really helps men for fertility purposes like that. But he talked about that. But again, what I did is I talk to people and tell them, get tested first. But the things that I'm saying, I think that even though he thought we had a disagreement, like I talked about before when we did that episode
yeah.
on the video on him, is he and I agree a lot.
Yeah.
But just to see that the better doctors, and I think he is one of the better doctors, I would call him one.
Yeah.
And I criticize doctors. People hear me criticize doctors on here, but his take on testosterone and what men can do and can't do and how they should do it and how they feel, man, mine is I'm right there with him. So, but my problem is it's a minority of doctors that are really like that.
A good minority.
Yeah, us.
Like
It's a
solid
small
amount,
number.
yeah.
That number needs to expand or get bigger.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. And there's the market for it too. The market's there because men need this help, and they're not getting it because too often they are being told by their primary care physician, you're within range, you're okay. And having how they feel totally dismissed, which is total bullshit. And he would say the exact same thing. Total bullshit. That the number isn't the only thing, which I have said either. How you feel matters. Your symptoms matter. But people can fact check what I say when it comes to testosterone, when it comes with the best. And that's why I build trust in these relationships. I've had relationships. I mean, I've personally been taking testosterone for 16 years, and I've basically been helping people for probably 14 of those years. And at least half of those 14, like the numbers just exploded in the number of people that I help. And so, I get new clients. I love getting new clients, but I'm proud to have the long-term relationships that I have with the clients that I have. That, somebody's been coming to me for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, and building that trust. I value that. That means so much to me. And that's coming from a guy who likes money. And I do. But what I really like is I like that trust.
Yeah.
And I've earned it by consistently providing people that information, and weeding it out, because, as I've said, because I can't. I can't know everything about everything. And if I can't know everything about everything, when I'm interested in something, I want to find who's the person I can trust on that issue to give me the real scoop on it.
Yeah.
And do that. So I want people to view me in that way, and they do when it comes to the health and fitness, and I want to broaden that out now. But as we grow the show and talk about these other topics, people don't have the time. It's like when I was a financial advisor. What I did for people as a financial advisor, if somebody really wanted to do it themselves, they could.
Yeah.
You could do it yourself. You did not need me. There are programs out there that you can use, simulations you can run to see how much money you need and how long your money will last based on different tax scenarios and spending scenarios. All that's out there and available. They hired me because they didn't want to do it. They hired me for the same reason I hire the electrician, because I don't want to fucking do it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And they have their job. They have their work. So how much more do they want to take on beyond that? So you want to find those people that you can trust in your life to give you the information that you think's important, because you don't want to spend that time digging on everything.
Yeah.
Just enough to be like, that's my guy, kind of a thing. So that's how I'm playing out the whole news and information and credibility, and they've totally lost it. I don't think the format has to be totally gone. I think the format has to stay. and whether that includes podcasters or not, I don't know. But these are very, very smart men who have been very successful at other businesses. And I mean, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. Okay. What did he know about news and information before he bought the Washington Post? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's now
So,
he's
I
trying to save something that's dying, but I guess what I'm saying is that you have these really smart guys that they're gonna figure something.
I guess that's
something
that's
out.
where my kind of like thinking comes into it, right? Because like, yeah, you can have one person buy out like a newscast or whatever, but,
Right.
but the people that are running the actual thing, like that's not the, and like again, maybe I'm thinking too
Okay.
much into it, but like
Right.
that main person isn't going to be digging in and doing all the fact checking. And stuff
Okay,
like that.
that's true. But now look what's happened
Mhm.
is people have dismissed the Washington Post. They're not trusting the Washington Post, and Jeff Bezos and a number of other very rich owners, who I forget the guy's name, the rich owner of the LA Times, he was another one, right? That these guys have said, you know what? They've told their editorial staff, you know what? Yeah, you're not going to do that now. We need to work a little bit harder. We gave lip service the last time Trump was elected to going out and finding out why do these people think the way they do, instead of just saying they're idiots, to figure out, well, why is that important to them? Why is immigration so important to that person? You know, finding out the real thing and in doing that, kind of like an owner of a sports team. You know, you hire a GM, you let them do their thing, but then you pull a Jerry Jones, and you could criticize Jerry Jones lately, and a friend of mine did that too. Same guy. But there was a time, you know, Jerry Jones has won a few Super Bowls, doing it his way.
Mhm.
Now, it maybe hasn't worked out so much with him sticking his nose in it like he has done lately.
Yeah.
But there's worse organizations and worse run organizations that have done it the other way, that they've never been successful and never had a Super Bowl. Why would Jerry change if what he's done has gotten him Super Bowls in the past?
Yeah.
He
I think that
wouldn't.
applies a little bit different to something like news.
No, but I'm talking about where it applies is you're just saying the personnel and what you're allowing them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post and let them run their own shit,
Mhm.
you know, for the most part, wasn't directing what needed to be reported. But when it got to the point where his asset does not have credibility anymore and is getting hammered, he's a smart enough businessman to know that that can't continue that way. And a change needs to be made. And a number of newspapers are doing that. And so it's not just broadcast networks, it's paper newspapers as
Yeah.
well, which, you know, there's just going to be fewer and fewer. Oh, there you go. Patrick Soon Shiong, the owner of the California Times, the LA Times is the paper. But another person who said, this shit's not flying. It's not working for us. We're losing subscribers because of how you guys are reporting shit, because nobody believes you. Nobody trusts you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always going to be a rich person that owns it. There ain't going to be a poor person that owns it.
I mean, that's just how it works.
Yeah. There's a stupid meme going around now again with the Easter Bunny, about people believing in the Easter Bunny. And then the text of it is, you know, don't be too hard on those people. There's people that still believe in trickle down economics. Well, Jesus, dude, money does not trickle up. Okay. Money from the poor does not, they don't have anything to trickle up. Poor people don't hire you. They don't hire people. Oh my God. I would go. Yeah. Yeah, the bunny one to the left. That's one been floating around. I mean, when I bought my Corvette, I employed people at the Tennessee factory that Corvette was made. People who built that.
Yeah.
And they're very proud of that car, by the way. And they should be. That thing has been fun as fuck. And so, they got paychecks. They spent those paychecks on their mortgage, on a Christmas gift for the family, on tuition for the kids, on paying for their kids to play in sports, whatever they did. They went to lunch and they bought lunch and with some of that money. And the waitress took that money and took, her tips and paid a babysitter or, paid her mortgage, paid her car payment. If it doesn't trickle down, then what the fuck does it do?
Yeah.
And that's why, people say, oh, you could, why is that rich person buy this really expensive thing? They could do this with the money. Like what they purchase doesn't help people. I think that's such a silly view when you have people are, I think mostly, you have lazy people, but people mostly want to earn things, that you feel better about something when you earn it and you work for it and things versus having it given. Now, sometimes people need help and they need to be given something. Absolutely. But still, at some point, where the real value comes in is not in the continued giving, but in that person being able to earn it and sustain themselves and their families with a job, with a business, whatever they decide to do or however they decide to make money. That's what's going to make them feel fulfilled, because you just getting a gift isn't going to make you feel fulfilled. It may fill your stomach for a minute, but it's not going to give you that real purpose in life type feeling. That's just not going to happen. So, like, it's just not a thing. Of course, shit trickles down. They just don't, at this point, when you talk about the wealth gap and where things are, the gap, I don't know, can ever be closed at this point.
I don't think it will, even if it was possible, I don't think it would become a thing.
Well, you think about it. You just reach a certain amount of wealth, right? Where if somebody earns 20% on $300 billion, you know what I mean? That's a shit ton of fucking money.
Yeah.
It just is. And it's just so much right now. But it's not like they have this money all locked up in a vault somewhere. That money is deployed in one fashion or another, either by them through investments or through financial institutions for investment and loans and whatever. I mean, it is what it is. That's not gonna change, because it's no different than when you double a penny, double a penny to 2 pennies and 2 to 4 and 8 cents and 16 and 32 and 64. And you just keep going, and it doesn't take all that long until you get, to where you've doubled it for the 25th time now, that it's a serious amount of money.
Yeah.
And it does not take that long to do that. It's nothing changed, because doubling from 1 to 2 is still a double. But doubling, from 500,000 to 1 million, well, it's because the number's so big that it's more shocking, but it's still just a double. You know, we could both have money in a mutual fund, and you could have $1,000, and I have 500,000 in there, and we both earn the same 10%.
Yeah.
But you're not going to think much about your $100 that you earned, and I'm going to think a whole lot about, you know, the 50,000 that mine was. It's still the same 10%.
Yeah.
It still applies and works the same way. So I don't really worry about that kind of stuff. And I don't think it's good for people. The people that want us to focus on those types of things are people that want to create division and want to get you to believe that the reason you don't have more is because of somebody else. Somebody else is holding you back. And that's not the case.
I think it's a little more complex than that, but
That the reason why people want people to believe that?
no.
In the
Like
division?
the idea of like the whole gap, right? Like the whole like analogy thing where you said like your 5 or my 500 to
Right.
your like 500. I don't know. I think it's a little too complex for my brain right now. I'm a little tired. I don't think I can put that together for you right now, but I'll put
That's
it.
all right.
I'll put it together and then
All
I'll
right.
bring it back. I'll bring it to you. But
All right.
yeah, I think it's a little more complex than that, in my opinion.
All right.
Sorry,
It's okay.
my energy level hasn't been there.
Well, mine has been getting better and better.
Yeah.
Every day.
No, and I'm glad
I
about it.
feel better. And the further I get away from what happened in Vegas, the better I feel. And we just have this final shit we need to
Get over that
make
last little
sure,
hill.
and I'll be happy to complete that and be back to going balls to the
Hell
wall
yeah.
again. For sure doing that. But like people use the income gaps the same way they use race to divide us. And that again, because they're using it in such a way, the people that want to promulgate that want people to believe that the reason you're not successful is the color of your skin. That people don't like the color of your skin, and because they don't like the color of your skin, you can't be successful. And I think it has more.
I definitely think it has a part to play, though, for sure. Or at least I don't know about now, but
But it can't. Like there are still people out there. Racists will always be with us.
oh yeah,
But there was a time when the obstacle
Mhm.
of race was big, was more real.
as in
In
what?
fact, like people, you could still have the racist today, but what can that racist really do other than sling words?
I mean, but if he's a
They can't. But they
if he's a
can't.
multimillionaire, he
Yeah,
can
but-
he can move
yeah.
around some stuff. Especially again, like
But they can't. They can't keep you from getting an apartment now or a house.
I mean,
They
depends on
can't
who
get you
the-
from getting a
the
job.
manager
You know,
is and
maybe
stuff
they
like
can
that.
keep you from getting a job at their company, but if you're good, somebody's going to employ you.
Yeah.
Like it's not where it's 90% of the employers don't want you. It's less than 5%. Do you see what I'm saying?
I don't know what that number is, but
No,
like,
I'm just making up a number.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying it's way the fuck smaller. And there's no benefit to you giving into that mindset
Mhm.
of that race is going to keep me down or I can't get ahead because of my race.
I'm not
that's-
saying completely, but it definitely sometimes can make it a little harder, for sure.
So can a lot of things make it harder.
Yeah. But
Everybody has something.
no, for sure. But I think race is, or at
But
least
that's
here in
what-
Arizona, like I
but-
think it is a little bit bigger of a factor than it is not, or at least in my lifetime.
I'm totally anything you want to do, you have the ability to do.
I agree.
Nothing is
but
gonna.
But I don't necessarily think that the race doesn't affect that. Whether or not you
I'm
can
just
or
saying it
can't
went
do
from this to this.
Okay.
And like I said, and even if this is there,
Mhm.
focusing on that, focusing on what your perceived grievance is
Mhm.
versus what you can do to make it, and finding a way, is where you're going to have the success. Wasting your time on trying to fight this
No, I agree, but I do think it
will
does
not
play
will
a
not be
big
there.
part. I agree with what you're saying, but I do think
we'll
it
have
does
to
play-
disagree about how big a part. I just
Yeah.
don't think it's just not that big a part. There's too many people that are successful now. I mean, I even look at the NFL, and it was not that long ago where you just did not have a lot of minority coaches.
Yeah.
You just didn't. And it's not always going to be as fast as people want. I mean, maybe the change wasn't as fast as people wanted, but change came pretty quickly. But the first step in that process of getting head coaches more people who were qualified and good enough to have those positions as head coaches that were minorities meant getting more guys that were assistants in to be assistants first. There wasn't enough of them to choose from.
Yeah.
That was the first step. That's why when I talk about the way that we solve these issues goes back to, like, it's going to take a minute, but it goes back to giving parents choices for education for the kids that are in K1 through 5 right now. It's helping them. The best way to give them opportunities based on merit and not race in the future is to focus on that group and make sure that they're getting the education, and they're not getting the education. We're failing in that. But we're failing in that, for anyone who's in the inner city. It's just the inner cities tend to be more populated, with minorities as well. So they're more affected in that way. But the answer is in the education. The education will take care of that. The reason that, well, I think you brought it up about, did you bring it up about the doctors? About DEI and
universities are
doctors
lowering
and so, you don't want a minority doctor who met a less standard working on you. Okay. But the way to fix that is not to give somebody entrance into a program that they weren't qualified for. The answer is to help people become more qualified. And that starts with the basic education. And we have too many kids that in many of these inner city schools where 50 to 90% of them, you could have 11th graders that 90% of them can't even read at a junior high level or do math or those things. The answer is in that, to be able to do that. And I still don't see that we're doing that yet, because we keep staying with the status quo. And that's what I'm hoping and it's going to take more than 4 years, but I'm hoping that this is waking people up to become a part and become involved locally, because that's where it's going to matter most in helping there be real change and getting away from the status quo. The status quo has to go away. That we just have to be willing to acknowledge that whatever has been going on is not working, and being willing to be open to what might work. That doesn't mean we have all the answers, but it means coming up with a different answer.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what has me excited about this period of time, and to be a part of this and doing this, and we'll continue to do that. So, so we got people are, when they see this, they will have had their Thanksgiving, which is great. And we hopefully, people spent time with their families and everything. I'm actually thinking about, God, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm actually thinking about maybe making a trip or a weekend trip back, maybe sometime in January, but I'm going to do it around a Lion home game. my friend Mike, his son Max, newcomer, they have tickets, and they always keep telling me they have an extra ticket for me. And so I had sent him a message recently about, hey, I might just come back because I do want to see my dad. I've wanted to get my dad out here, but that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Sadly, because it would be cool for my dad to see this because my dad, they never traveled.
No.
Never traveled.
Very old school.
Oh,
Very stick to home.
Like the last time my dad flew on an airplane was when he was in the Army.
Yeah, because he had to.
Yeah. That was the last time. So it's been, for him probably close to 60 years.
Wow.
58, 59, 60, whatever it is, it's close to that for sure. So it'll just be on me to do that. But that would, if I'm going to go back, I want to make it, I want to see a game because I really just don't want to, even for 4 days, I don't want to slosh around
and do nothing
in the snow.
Oh, yeah, I guess it will be in January, huh?
And it could be like dry. It's just gloomy. It's just,
it brings it down. Yeah.
Dude, can you tell the look on my face now? Just thinking about it, like, brings me some dread.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. No, it really is. It kind of like it brings down the especially like when it's like you don't get to see the sun. It's all cloudy.
And
like,
I'm just like today was a shit day in Arizona.
I like these days. They're my favorite in my opinion.
The cloudy ones.
I grew up in Arizona, so it's always hot and sunny outside. So
yeah,
you get the nice
few
like
people
cloudy
that
days
grew
are
up
actually
here.
kinda
Yeah,
nice.
for Dawn and I were like, ugh.
Yeah, no, today was beautiful. Keep the windows
Cloudy.
open. Oh yeah, these are my type of
The
days.
sun
for
wasn't
sure.
out, and it was in a couple clouds. It was cloudy most of the day
entire-
until maybe the end of the day.
Yeah.
It snuck out, but yeah, we're like we want blue sky.
Yeah.
Because what's really nice, and she's getting it now, is it could be 64 here, but when the sun is out and the sky is blue, that 64 feels really fucking good. It
Oh,
don't
yeah.
feel like 64.
No, it does not.
It
But
it feels like upper 70s, almost 80 even.
And then you
when
hit
you're in the sun.
you hit into the shade, and the
Then you
temperature
know.
drops.
But this is that time of year. I told you, it's layer year. It's the layer part of the year.
Yeah.
You start out with your layers, your sweatshirts. You take it off throughout the day, and at night you put it back on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you never really know what you're going to be putting on for clothes for the day because you never know whether it's going to come off or come back on. Like the wind can come pick up, and then it gets cold again, and then it's fun.
I sent George Santos a message.
Okay,
We'll see.
we will see. That'd be
He
interesting.
had this thing that said bookings.
Okay.
I didn't know where else to contact him,
Contact
but that seemed like a
Yeah,
contact.
I'm sure. Yeah,
And I gave my phone number, so it'll be kind of interesting to see if I get a response.
that'd be really dope.
Even if it's a negative one, I don't care. But it's like, hey, you know what? You know what I thought? Here was my thinking. My thinking was, I've fucked up. How
so?
Well, I mean, dude, remember my story. I mean,
I thought you
fucked
meant
up.
with like messaging.
No,
Gotcha,
no.
gotcha,
I mean,
gotcha,
I've
gotcha.
fucked up.
Gotcha.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and I kept going,
Mhm.
and I got second, third, fourth chances.
Yeah.
You know, and so why shouldn't I? Again, I really believe, based on my own experience, that sometimes when we go through stuff like that, we want to push on, we want to do certain things, but sometimes we have to take a break from certain things before we can make that comeback. And if he really wants to come back into politics, that might be a thing. But you know what? That's not for me to decide because I know how hard that is. I know how hard it is that you just want to just keep grinding and keep pushing, and that to make it happen, you have to dismiss people like me. You have to dismiss us and say, like, doesn't matter what you think. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep going. And that's the only way you have a chance of doing that. So why shouldn't I give him a second chance, or at least enough? Because the story that I know, right, is only the story in the media.
Yep.
I only know the media story.
We know how true they can
and
be.
I know how much bullshit that fucking shit is. That until you've had a story written about you and been in the newspaper, and until you've been on the 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock news and been talked about, you don't get it. But it's eye opening when it happens to you.
Yeah.
And when you're like, man, there's only about 30 or 40% of that was motherfucking true. Like literally true. Not just my perception of what was true. I mean, like literally, they get raw facts wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, did you read the police report?
It's in black and white right
here,
there.
like right here. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think I could have an interesting conversation
I
with
would
them.
love to
So
hear
that's
that.
why
Yeah, no, that'd be dope.
that's why I reached out. So yeah, you know what? Make this a clip.
Okay.
That we can send him, that we talked about this, that we gets an idea of what my intention is, and isn't to be adversarial, but to be inquisitive.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough?
Do
Is
that
that
for
good?
you.
All right. I appreciate that. And please, enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family. Tell your mom I said hi.
I will
And
do.
I can't wait to meet. I want to meet the family.
Yeah.
I want to meet Familia sometime. Yeah,
I'll bring you
I'll
back
even
some of
put.
the foods as well.
Well, I was just gonna say I'll put my diet to the side today to go meet your family because you know me. I'm like I live for Mexican food.
Yeah, I planned on bringing you some of the food.
I would appreciate
on Friday.
that.
So
That would be
on the way back from
awesome.
work. I was planning to drop you off some food, so we'll see if you like it or not.
And to the rest of you, this is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm Troy Neff, your host. I'm the fucking guy.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life.